Hello everybody, this is the notes for Advanced Geometry, section 1.7. Sorry I'm putting it up there kind of late, but just how it goes sometimes, so I'll work on it for you. So, section 1.7, this is the last section for chapter 1, talking about perimeter, circumference, and area. So, hit pause, copy these terms down, but perimeter, it's the distance around a figure. So all you're really doing is, if it's a polygon, you're just adding up the lengths of each of the sides. Circumference is kind of the same thing. It's just, we're talking about circles. Okay, it's the distance around a circle. There's a specific formula for that, but perimeter and circumference are essentially the same thing. Just we use circumference when we're talking about a circle. It's different than a polygon, so it has a different term. Area, that is the amount of surface covered by the material. Area is as it says below, area is a two-dimensional thing. All right, you got to have two dimensions. You know, if you're talking about the area of a room, you have a length and you have a width. And so it takes two dimensions. So, units of measurements. When we're talking about perimeter or we're talking about circumference, they're units of length. It's how far something is. So feet, yards, miles, meters, whatever. But when we're talking about area, because it is a two-dimensional thing, you have feet times feet. So it'd be a feet squared for your area, or meters times meters. So it'd be meters squared. Okay? So those are the proper units when we're talking about these things. Go ahead and hit pause, kind of look through this. You probably already know most of these equations. We're talking about perimeter, and we use this capital P for perimeter, capital A for area. So you already know most of these equations. A couple of them that might be a little bit missing from your memory. Area of a triangle, 1/2 the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. Definitely want the circle ones. There's two sort of different equations for the circumference of a circle. And one involves the diameter, one involves the radius. The diameter is the distance across the circle going through the center. The diameter is twice the length of the radius. Again, the radius goes from center to the outside of the circle. Now, biggest thing here, when we're talking about area, kind of with the exception of a circle, but there's some ways around that you can kind of fudge your way through it. But when we're talking about area, the dimensions that you use, so really towards polygons, the dimensions you use, they have to be perpendicular to each other. Okay? When you're finding the area of a rectangle, so looking up here in the upper right corner, if this is your length up here and this is your width down here, they are perpendicular to each other. In a triangle, this is the most important thing. This is where it can get a little bit confusing. The base is going to be one side of your triangle. The height, it has to be the perpendicular distance. Okay, going from one point perpendicular to that side that you're calling the base. The height and base must be perpendicular when you're finding area. So in a triangle, the base is going to be one side of the triangle. The height will be that perpendicular distance from that base up to the other vertice. All right. So, find the perimeter and the area. So we're just looking at a rectangle here. Perimeter is 2 times the length, we'll call 9, plus 2 times the width, we'll call 14. So follow your order of operations, add them up. You get 18 plus 28, which is a number. Okay, I'm going to try to go through these notes pretty quickly. You don't need to see me add and multiply. Area, length, if it's a rectangle, so length times width. So we're looking at 14 times 9. Now, these units here, they are in feet. So when we talk about perimeter, the answer is a certain number of feet. When we talk about area, it was feet times feet, which is feet squared. So whatever 14 times 9 is, 126, I believe, real quickly, I think. If I'm wrong, it's okay, but feet squared, that's the idea here. Now looking at this triangle, perimeter is just the distance around a shape. So if we start at one vertice, we got a distance of 12. We got a distance of 5. We got a distance of 13. 12 plus 5 plus 13, which is 18, 20, 30. And it's a length. Perimeter is a length, so each of these side lengths was in inches. For the area of a triangle, 1/2 times the base times the height. Remember, base and height must be perpendicular to each other. So, looking at this triangle, this side 12 and this side 5, they are perpendicular to each other. We're going to call this side 12 the base. The height goes from the other vertex down perpendicular to that base. So, for our area, it's going to be 1/2 times the base of 12 times the height of 5. Half of 12 is 6 times 5, we got 30. These are inches individually. For the area, inches squared. Okay? Moving on to a circle. The circumference. So what we know here in this circle, looking at the picture, we're going from the center of the circle to, not the edge of the circle, but to the outside part of the circle. So that 32 centimeters, that is our radius. The circumference of a circle is 2 pi times the radius. So we're looking at 2 pi times 32. Now, when you're dealing with circles, there's two forms of the answers. You have the exact answer, which is going to be this. Basically what that means is leave pi in there. 2 times 32 is 64 pi. Pi is an irrational number, okay, meaning you cannot write pi as a fraction of integers. Pi is 3.1415, and there are literally millions of decimals, and they're still figuring out more and more decimals. Trying to figure out the pattern, but they're not going to. These are in centimeters, so this circumference, it is a length, so it's 64 pi centimeters. Okay? This is the exact answer. Can't get any better than that. This squiggly equal sign here means approximately. So if you take on your calculator 64 and multiply it by 3.1415, or just use the pi button, you'll get another answer. You're going to round it, so the rounding is what is making it an approximate value. The 64 pi is the exact answer. The area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So we have pi times 32 squared. Whatever 32 squared is, it's going to be somewhere around 900, maybe into the thousands. Just times it by pi, but centimeters squared. Okay, radius times the radius, that's what the radius squared means. So I don't know what 32 squared is. You can figure it out on your calculator. But again, you can do the same thing to get the approximate answer. Do 32 squared and then multiply it by pi or 3.14 and you get the approximate answer. Okay? That's circumference and area for a circle. No, sorry, not the last example, close to the last example. You have the area of a triangle is 338 square yards. The height of the triangle is 4 times its base. Find the height and base of the triangle. So, we're talking about area of a triangle. So right off the bat, let's start with the formula. 1/2 base times height. Now let's start plugging in things we know. We know the area is 338. That equals 1/2 the base. The base and height, well, we know something about them. We don't know their actual values, but it says the height of the triangle is 4 times its base. So what we're going to do is essentially a system of equations. We're going to do the substitution method. Okay, we have, and I'm going to curve this arrow down here. We have this equation here, the 338 equals 1/2 base times height. That's two variables in one equation. So make the substitution. Take out the h, replace it with 4b. So 1/2 b times, taking the h out, replacing it with 4b. That equals the 338. So 1/2 times b times 4b is 2b squared. That equals your 338. We're trying to solve for base and height. So divide by 2. That's going to be 169 to equal b squared. Take the square root. Your base is 13. Now, we also need to know what the height is. Now we're using this equation. The height is 4 times the base. 4 times 13 is 52, so there is our base and height. Now, key thing here is the units. We were given an area in square yards. That means the height is 52 yards, the base is 13 yards. Okay. That, actually I was wrong. That is the last thing for this video, these notes. We'll talk about something else in class about converting some units, but other than that, that is it. Have a good day.